The ongoing conflict in Darfur, which started in 2003, was declared a genocide by United States Secretary of State Colin Powell on September 9, 2004, in testimony before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Why does the charge of genocide matter? What is the difference between charging crimes against humanity versus genocide?
This is a very important question. It goes to what the law is trying to accomplish in this situation. And when the law talks about genocide, it's talking about not only the destruction of a group, but the destruction of this group in whole or in part. And also it's talking about protecting particular groups. It's talking about the protection in particular of racial and ethnic groups in this situation. The charge of crimes against humanity is a more general kind of charge that focuses on widespread killing, but gives less attention to the particular groups who are experiencing this death and killing. So in developing the genocide charge, the focus was on this particular racial group that's dying in Darfur, the black Africans who are attacked and killed and raped in these villages and on their farms. And what the charge is doing is pointing to the fact that it's black Africans that are dying at the hands of Arab militia Janjaweed groups. Now, it's also important to understand how this occurs. It's always the case in genocide that otherwise people who would not do these kinds of things become involved in doing killing that they would never otherwise do. So how do you get people to do this? Well, in this situation, it involved the military and their training camps teaching the attacking groups to yell and shout racial epithets, shouts like "kill all the blacks," "remove the blacks from this village," "there will be no more blacks in this area." These kinds of shouts and this kind of yelling was used as a way of stirring up the group to establish a kind of hysteria in which killing could occur. And by charging then the Sudanese government with genocide, what we're talking about is a planned scenario in which racial epithets are used against a protected group to produce the kind of killing that occurs on such a large scale.
Sudan's President Omar al-Bashir has not only rejected the allegations of war crimes against him as made up, but has also alleged that mass rape does not exist in Darfur. He has stated that the women inside the camps are under the influence of the rebels, and some are even relatives of the rebels. That's why they make up these claims, and that these are all false allegations, that it's not in the culture of Darfur. Darfur does not have rape. It's not in their tradition. Dr. Hagan, how do you respond to these assertions?
Rape is an extremely important part of the genocide in Darfur. It's a key part of the way in which terror is established in attacks on villages and on farms in Darfur, and the way in which people are driven from the lands on which they're located. President Darfur, when he says rape does not occur, is engaging in a very extreme form of denial. And in a sense, he has to do this because women are very much protected in Arab society and Arab culture. And the idea of the purity of these women is extremely important, and rape represents a total rejection of this kind of ideal. So he wants to say this does not happen, but it happened on a large scale in Darfur and continues to happen. So the rapes occur both alongside the killing during the attacks on the farms and villages, and it also continues in the camps into which these women are driven along with men. The crucial part of this has often involved when the women are sent out of the camps to collect firewood. And while they're outside of the camps and even less protected than in the camps, they're particularly vulnerable to rape. One result of this is that now so many of the men and women, the black Africans in Darfur, have been driven into these camps, the rapes continue. The prosecutor at the International Criminal Court, Luis Moreno Ocampo, has made this an important point, and what he's trying to establish is not only do we have evidence about the rape and the killing in the attacks on the farms and villages, but we know that that rape is continuing, and it's continuing to this day in Darfur, and it represents a continuing source of evidence of the intent of the Sudanese government, and its military and the militia involved in these attacks, both in the villages and now around the camps, in perpetuating a kind of hostility and a kind of terror that keeps people in the camps and allows the genocide to continue.
Professor Hagan, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today about your important work and the enormity of this crisis in Darfur.
Thank you. You're very welcome. You know, none of this research would have been possible without the support of the American Bar Foundation, the National Science Foundation, and the Coalition for International Justice. This was a large-scale project. It required a lot of support, and we're extremely grateful for the opportunity to do this work.